Welcome to the Pitcher Nail Down. I'm Jason Gilbo at JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J. Clay. Taking a look at pitching for tonight's DraftKings and FanDuel slates. And you got some options up top, and then it's kind of a whole lot of nothing down below. But there is a core slate, so we kind of have to dive in some value if you do want to open up some bats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Overall, can't complain. We've been through the worst, I think that we'll see all year. Well, I'm sure probably not, but we've been through the worst in the past couple of weeks. So, this is relatively strong overall considering the top options. Let's hope we can find some value as well.
Yeah, definitely. And 7:05 here, Red Sox and Orioles over under 9.5. Boston -113. Joe Kelly, Mike Wright. This is a situation where there's not going to be a value pitcher on this game.
No. Yeah, no. Both are projected for over 4.5 runs. So that's usually a big red flag on where you're looking for pitching, I think, for me.
Yeah, I think so. And in that ballpark, it's just tough to kind of find any sort of reasons to like him, especially against these two offenses.
Mm-hmm.
Next one here, 7:05. You got Tigers and Angels. Mike Fulmer versus Matt Schumacher. Over under of 8. This one is a pick 'em. This is where I think there could be some value to open up, and I think GPP territory. Both these guys are certainly in play.
Definitely, yeah. Fulmer's coming off 2 straight starts of good outings against reasonable teams. So, I mean, as we say most nights, other than Trout, who are we really worried about in this lineup? So I think he's a reasonable tournament play for sure. I'm not as in on Shoemaker, but I mean, obviously he's impressed recently. So yeah, I'd go with Fulmer here for tournaments, especially if you're throwing in a core stack. But other than that, I think that's kind of where I'm headed.
Yeah, 7,500 on DK is not a bad price tag for him. You look over on FanDuel. I mean, he's not going to bring you a ton of upside just because the Angels don't strike out a ton. But 7,600, I mean, he picks up a win and a quality start, and you get those bats that go off like they did yesterday. Certainly playable.
Definitely.
Schumacher on this, I mean, you kind of look at the teams he's faced before, the Astros, the Orioles, and that start there, and they kind of resemble a Tigers, team. I mean, they're pretty much identical. Both have 23% strikeout rates. Both sit 7th and 8th against righties. So there is a relatively low floor, but matchup-wise, I mean, there is strikeout upside if he has that dialed up again.
But it was so weird. He was the worst, and then
he is that way. I mean, he has been that way for the longest time.
And then he was the best. Then he was Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood. But yeah, I don't know. I guess you kind of have to you don't have to fully trust him yet, but it does appear
there's never going to be any fully trust with Schumacher at all. But
yeah, there might be some interesting tournament upside there for sure.
Yeah, but definitely there is a lower floor than you want.
Right.
So, next one here, Nationals and Phillies. Max Scherzer versus Adam Morgan. Washington, biggest favorites on the day, 220.
Not a low floor here.
No, you're looking at Scherzer. Yes, he's coming off a rough start. I mean, the thing that he did was, yes, he had that bad inning, but then kind of he wasn't completely awful. He didn't leave you with a 5 or anything like that. So, going up against the Phillies, I mean, this is kind of easily one of the safer matchups on the night here, and he's going to be the chalk and cash games. But it's a pretty heavy price tag. I mean, I think you are going to have to work some deeper value in, especially if you want to get Coors bats in there.
Yeah, well, with Para kind of going off here of recent, I don't think you're going to be able to get a lot of value here. But for Coors, but yeah, I mean, Scherzer, clear top option. One of the matchups we look for in terms of any pitching slate. So this is a great combination, and I expect him to get back to sort of what he was doing before that sort of 5-run outburst. In terms of Adam Morgan, not really touching it at all. Just I don't like targeting the Nationals, and it's just not a good combination of him versus Scherzer, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he's had, 8 DraftKings or less points in 4 of his 5 starts this year. So 4,100, sure, you're going to open up some salary with that one,
Right.
but let's take it easy.
Right.
Max Scherzer's price on FanDuel, I do like quite a bit. 10-7 is not bad at all. He's kind of an easy plug and play, and that leaves you with about 3K left over. So those Coors bats aren't as necessarily as expensive as we've seen in the past. I think they really should be much higher. You're still looking at a Carlos Gonzalez at 4,100, so Arenado 44. These are doable bats to put in even with the Scherzer.
Definitely.
Next game here, you got Yankees and Blue Jays, over-under of 8. Toronto -113 favorites. Masahiro Tanaka versus Aaron Sanchez. Sanchez is a guy who's pitched well this season. It's not like this Yankees team scares me. I wish he was just kind of maybe a little bit cheaper. 8,500 is a little bit steeper. I kind of hope he was in that Fulmer, price range as far as, what you're going to get is, you're not going to get a ton of upside out of him in this matchup.
He's a solid. I mean, he's still a pay down at that price. This is not a horrible option. I think he's viable in tournaments. I do like Tanaka though. I think for once there's some reasonable upside against this Toronto Blue Jays team. We'll see. I probably won't play him, but I think he's an interesting contrarian tournament guy.
Yeah, the only problem with me is he kind of sits like Lester's a little bit less than him. At 9,900, I think that's kind of something that I'm intrigued with. So Tanaka kind of just flies on the radar. I either just kind of pay up for Felix Hernandez against the Padres, who I'm not the biggest fan of, but I kind of like him more in that matchup than I do Tanaka against the Blue Jays there.
Right.
So, but Sanchez, I mean, yeah, it is a pay down. I don't necessarily mind it as much. But still, I just kind of was hoping that price tag would be a little bit lower.
Yeah. And the Yankees aren't really a prime targeting candidate at this point in the season, so
no,
probably
I don't
stick
think
to
so.
tournaments.
Yeah, but Sanchez has been solid. I mean, 60% ground ball rate's really impressive. 21% K rate. So he is missing some bats. He does walk a little bit of guys, so that is something. But overall, I mean, I think a quality start's pretty much kind of in line for both of these guys.
Definitely.
Next one here, you got Giants and Braves, and you got Williams Perez, and the Giants are tossing out Albert Suarez, right-hander here. I mean, obviously, Albert Suarez, 4K is a bare minimum pitcher going up against the Braves. Does this somewhat notch 5 innings and a win?
I mean, I'm kind of intrigued for sure. I mean, just any night you can throw out any split you want about the Braves since 2014, and they look awesome. So at least in terms of write-ups, you'll be able to write it up pretty well if you're doing write-ups. But if you're playing totally just one lineuper on a 2-pitcher slate, you don't want to do this on FanDuel. But
No.
I mean, why not on DraftKings? One tournament lineup with them in there. See what happens. You'll be able to stack the rest of your lineup. It'll be fun.
If you want to get Coors and Scherzer all in one lineup,
yeah, exactly.
You're putting Suarez at the SP2 at 4K.
Yeah.
4,100 left over, and that's pretty reasonable with Scherzer. But obviously, you're going to need, around 15 points out of him.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're going to need those Coors bats to go off like they did last night, where it doesn't matter that he doesn't put up a 20 like maybe another pitcher or two does.
Right. Yeah. But, I mean, yeah. You're going to need – you're really going on the edges there. You really need the max out of what his probable ceiling is or any type of projectable range of outcomes. But it could be fun. It could be one fun tournament lineup that you make, and you're like, okay, I'm happy with all the guys I got in there,
Yeah. Oh, I got Blackman, Carlos Gonzalez, I got Nolan Arenado. Oh, okay. And I'm with Scherzer.
At the very least, it's like a confidence boost because you got every single guy you wanted in there. So, yeah, worth a shot.
And with the Braves, I mean, 29th in WOBA this season, a near 20% strikeout rate, a league low ISO. So,
Yeah,
It's not like he's going up against even a middle tier opponent where you're taking
no.
a shot this range. This is the Braves. JPV coming off a strong outing against him, so they let
that,
me down.
that neat. I'm surprised that wasn't like a headline on all the big newspapers today.
PV throws a good game.
But yeah, I mean that pretty much says it all. I think it's a tough matchup in terms of him being like a spot starter, but I would roll with it at least once.
I think so. I think it's a tournament option that could be some fun.
Yeah.
Next one here, Pirates and Marlins, Adam Conley versus John Neese. This is one Conley's kind of trending downwards a little bit and in a tough matchup with the Pirates who don't strike out a ton. They have sixth in WOBA against lefties. I'm kind of passing on this, and I think the same thing with John Neese. I mean, you look at the Marlins, I know they're trending downwards as well, but Neese isn't a guy to really trust. And you look at this Marlins team, they don't strike out really that much anyway. So 6,600. I think I want a kind of a higher ceiling pitcher.
Yeah, this when you first look at this matchup, you get kind of excited about the names just because we've kind of been on Conley for a few weeks now. But I don't like this matchup for him. Again, I didn't fade Jose Fernandez, but I wasn't totally on him because I didn't like targeting this Pirates lineup. So that should tell you what I think Adam Conley today. But John Neese, I don't know. I mean, obviously the ceiling isn't quite there or what you want for tournaments, and you're probably and you are not playing him in cash,
No,
or else you're a savage human being.
he hasn't been bad,
but he hasn't been bad, and the Marlins have kind of been bad.
They haven't played,
and I could see myself doing. Okay, I'm probably going to get weird with tournament lineups today, I think, because there's just a lot of weird matchups of like, you know what I mean? This is a weird matchup where I actually do think he has some upside in this.
Yeah. I mean, 6,600. I mean, if he gets you 18, 20 points, I'm completely fine with that. I mean, I'd be in love with that if he did that.
Yeah.
Any guy with an over 4 ERA and a 1.42 WHIP is going to scare me a bit, even against
I know.
a Marlins team there. And they do have some right-handed bats that can get to lefties, so it is a little bit concerning. But I do think it's worth a tournament option because, as we mentioned before, there's not a lot down there. So you are going to have to take some shots with some low guys and hope things kind of pan out.
I mean, I think obviously if things work out in terms of roster construction, you want to go with a Fulmer or even a Shoemaker for upside, but I don't know. Maybe a one-off in a 20 tournament lineup sort of construction.
Dodgers and Cubs here. Mike Bolsinger versus John Lester. Lester's kind of an intriguing guy for me just because he could be a leading SP1 and you're getting kind of a discount from guys like Felix Hernandez and Scherzer. And if he posts similar scores to them and you can match up a decent SP2, that's some nice cash savings there. In this Dodgers lineup, they don't scare me. I mean, they're 21st in WOBA against lefties. Strikeout rates right around the league average. And you look at Lester, I mean, he's pitched well this season. Nice strikeout rate, 24%. Not allowing a ton of hard ball contact, swing strike rates there. So overall, I think he's kind of an intriguing tournament option for me. Not really a cash game guy, but price considered GPP option.
Yeah, and this kind of throws off the Dodgers lineup because a lot of their strong hitters are lefties. So we'll see how they set up their lineup today. But I actually think this could be a good one for Lester. Nice matchup, reasonably priced. I do like this, especially on DraftKings. I think that's a reasonable way to sort of figure things out for yourself and paying up for some pitchers or some hitters.
Yeah, and Lester on FanDuel, I mean, that would be the ultimate swerve if you're just expecting Scherzer to be a mediocre or something like that because he's only $100 less. That's not a risk I'm really looking to take, but DraftKings, it's well worth it. As far as Bolsinger on the other side, I'm not really picking on this Cubs offense. I think it's kind of an intriguing Cubs stack against him, just in combination with Coors tonight.
Yeah, poor guy. I mean, at this point, we have to trust pretty much every night that this Cubs offense just isn't one to target, even if they do get shut down once or twice. It's
Uh,
not like really viable to go after them, you know?
yeah. Next game here, you got the Diamondbacks and Astros. Robbie Ray versus Mike Fiers. Over under of 9. Houston minus 160 favorites here. And with these two offenses in this ballpark, you got the Diamondbacks. They're going to get the DH. I'm kind of just staying away from these. I think this is kind of actually going to be a really good hitter-friendly game on both sides.
Yeah. I like both these offenses, so I'm not really touching this.
Yeah, me either. Next one here, you got Rays and Royals. Chris Archer versus Danny Duffy. And once again, Chris Archer's price tag is pretty low. I mean, 8,300. I mean, this is a guy who kind of got a lucky outing against the Yankees. It could have had a couple more runs tacked onto him, but only one was earned. But the strikeouts were there. He had 7. Got the loss, 8 innings, and still got 25 points. I think he is a viable tournament option here. I'm looking at this Royals team, and they haven't been really tremendous, and they're kind of banged up. It's a nice, spacious ballpark. So you look at it over/under. I mean, it's one of the lower ones on the night, and I think Archer's an intriguing DK option.
Chris Archer made me really upset that night when he didn't get those 3 runs counted against him. I don't know that I'm on speaking terms with him right now, but maybe I'll play him
It's not his
tonight.
fault.
Maybe I'll play him tonight and then he'll do well. But yeah, no, I actually do like this for his price. I mean, if he was 9, 10K, that would change the conversation, but 8,300, that's very reasonable. So I mean, that's a nice jump up from sort of that 7K group that we were talking about, and I think he has some reasonable island upside sort of away from everyone. In terms of the guys you're really looking at. So, yeah, I think that can work.
Yeah. I mean, 27% strikeout rate. He's missing bats. I do like the ballpark. The walk rate's a little higher than I like, but obviously in GPPs, you're going to get some high walk rate guys. Danny Duffy is he a guy you're looking at? 5,700. I kind of think the Rays are a little bit in a value play tonight here.
Yeah, I'm probably not looking at Duffy tonight. I think he's kind of intriguing, but not enough to probably throw in a lineup. I'm probably just sitting that whole situation out. I don't know that I really want to go at the Rays tonight either. That's interesting. What are you thinking about that matchup?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page with you. I think you're looking at the Rays and all those right-handed bats. One, I think they're intriguing options to kind of pair with Coors as far as getting some value in there. As far as like a Brandon Guyer, obviously I did not play Longoria over Arenado, but there are some options, Ahmad or guys like that you can kind of pair up with Coors for pretty cheap.
Right.
Next game here, you got the Coors game, John Lamb versus Tyler Chatwood, over under 11. Chatwood's been pretty solid, but you're looking at this game over under 11, and
yikes,
it's a stay away. And this Coors series for the Colorado Rockies has just been. This is what
get to the bullpen.
This is what you want. Yeah, you're going to get automatic homers off this bullpen. The starters are bad, so they're going to be bouncing out before the 4th or 5th inning. It's
have to play
slaughterhouse. It's a slaughterhouse for the Reds pitchers.
I mean, we saw the warning signs with that Indian series a few weeks ago, and I mean, I don't think any of us kind of thought, okay, 17 runs like a game, but man, they're just going to get slaughtered every game. I don't even think it's a question. So I think your hand is kind of forced here, in my opinion. That's why I was kind of dancing around with some of these super cheap options that aren't in great spots, because it's like I have to get these guys in,
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I mean, it was like last night. I mean, if you didn't go with those options, you weren't cashing. Like it was just
and it was 1 through 5.
They hit so hard, and they're expensive. I mean, they're a little cheaper tonight, which is nice, but still, it's still a situation where you just want to plug them in. And Tyler Chatwood, I mean, he's been relatively good this season, but also you look at his home and road splits. I mean, obviously, as most pitchers, Coors, not good. I mean, over 5 ERA at home, 0.54 on the road. So it's a stay away situation.
Now the question is, do you get fancy with your core stacks and maybe throw in the seventh or eighth guy, DJ LeMahieu or Dustin Garno or like one of those with the top of the lineup or something like that? I mean, that's definitely a way to save some cap and get something in there and make yourself different. And then like we saw it the other day with Para. I mean, he was batting like seventh and he hit a homer, so or didn't hit a homer, but he hit a double. But either way, I think there's interesting ways to go about this and not necessarily the standard 1 through 5.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that could kind of force into playing different pitchers if you do that route. You have a little more to spend on the bump.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying don't play the 1 through 5. I think that's your first lineup you make, obviously. But to win a tournament, I think, God, what do you think the ownership's going to be tonight?
Over 100% for sure.
The way we're talking,
yeah,
probably would be. But yeah, we're looking at here 30% plus for these guys.
Oh, definitely. Next game here, we get the Mariners and Padres. Felix Hernandez, Christian Friedrich. Over under of 7. Seattle minus 168 favorites. Heading into Petco's, nice pitchers parked there. Felix Hernandez, he's a guy who
you putting your head down and ignoring the facts and just going with them again, or you getting worried here is basically how you're looking at it.
Yes, you look at his ERA, sure, he looks normal. You look behind the scenes, a FIP over 4, a swinging strike rate that's 8.5. That's not very good by his standards. It's very average. And a strikeout rate that's just sitting at 20%, and the walks are up. So it's a nice matchup against the Padres, but I said that against the Twins as well, and I was expecting much more, and he got shelled. And I still think he's a viable option tonight's slate, but it's not like if he comes crashing down, it's not going to surprise me again.
Yeah, and I mean, he got 10 strikeouts in that second start of the year, but he hasn't done much of that at all this year. I mean, one other game with 9 against the Angels, but the strikeouts really haven't been there, and that's kind of been the strength of his game for years now. So if that upside isn't quite there as much and consistently anymore, you have to start getting a little worried here, especially at 11K. I still love the matchup, obviously. The Padres are essentially the Braves, so
with a much higher strikeout rate too. So, I mean, they're 24%, so that is an encouraging sign. Hell, I would, if you were pitching against the Padres, I would give you a shot in a GPP. So.
Oh man, well I have a sweet knuckle slurve, so you better watch out for that. But yeah, I think I'm okay. I'm okay with Felix tonight just because of the matchup. But again, it's not necessarily a sure thing right now for 11K.
Yeah, and I think so. That's why I think kind of Scherzer is a guy who I'm looking at in cash games. Yes, he's had his ups and downs, but he's been a little bit more consistent. He has that strikeout upside. That hasn't really gone away like Hernandez's has.
Mm-hmm.
So, but DK, it's a different story. I think, because of the price difference of 2,200, it's an intriguing kind of pivot down. I don't have a problem with it, but I do think that there is a little bit of disappointment that could happen.
Yeah, exactly.
On the other side, I'm not really looking at Friedrich. You look at this Mariners offense; they've come around quite a bit, and I think mainly the runs are going to be coming from that side of the dugout there.
He did shut down the Diamondbacks. If he can do this again, then maybe next time I'll think about it. But for now, no, I can't do it, especially with the lower chance of the win.
Yeah. That was an impressive game, but I'll tell you that. I mean. I don't know.
That was shocking. That was shocking to me, honestly. I could not believe that night. I was just tracking that. I was like, it's the 4th inning. What's going on here?
There's nothing worse than watching an average at best pitcher get through a top 10 offense in Chase
Nothing
Field.
Worse, especially when you stack them. Not saying I had stacked them that night and made multiple lineups with them in, but I was paying close attention.
Oh, as you should be.
Yes.
That's going to wrap things up here with the pitcher nail down. Be sure to check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all great tools and content.